Hi, and welcome to the Veronica Harris Show. I'm your host, Veronica Harris, and on today's episode, we're going to be speaking with Miss Samantha P. Davis, who is the founder and executive director of the Black Swan Academy. The Black Swan Academy is a nonprofit organization here in the District of Columbia, and their mission is to empower underserved Black youth through civic learning and engagement, giving them a comprehensive set of tools needed to succeed in life and become active social catalysts in their communities. So stay with us, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. As I stated earlier, today we're going to be talking to Miss Samantha P. Davis, who is the founder and executive director of the Black Swan Academy. So right now, let's meet our guest. Hi, Samantha. How you
Hi.
doing?
Good. Thank you
Okay.
for having us.
Thank you for coming. So you are the founder and executive director of the Black Swan Academy. Now, where is that located?
So we are right now running programs out of 3 different schools, and then we have an offsite program as well. So most of our work is in Southeast DC, whereas Susan Middle School will be in Hart Middle School as well. And we work with youth both from Anacostia High School and a number of the public charters in Northeast and Southeast.
Wow, you cover the whole city.
We're trying to cover, we're targeting Ward 7 and Ward 8 of DC.
All right. Well, before we get more into the Black Swan Academy, let's tell our viewers a little bit more about you now. Having to find out that Samantha P. Davis is also the daughter of Sam Davis, offensive lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes. So my father, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've been to DC for about 8 years. But my father played for the Pittsburgh Steelers for about 13 years. He was a captain for one of the years that they won the Super Bowl rings, but definitely has 4 Super Bowl rings.
Wow, that's amazing.
Amazing man. Yeah. My mother is an amazing woman, and
yes,
I believe, shout out to my mom.
Yes, absolutely.
And with his self-determination and all of the work that he did growing up and to become a Pittsburgh Steeler, he was actually not drafted. He was a walk-on.
Wait, he wasn't, he was an undrafted free agent. So he
walked on. Went to a very small college, HBCU, Allen University, and ended up being able to walk on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, played for 13 years. So surrounded by a lot of positive male figures specifically, but sports athletes. And then my mother was a nonprofit director, working a lot with youth in Pittsburgh. So I like to think I'm a very nice combination of the two of them.
You are a definite combination of the two. I mean, definitely, a melding, and voila.
I think that's what I'm going for. I have a brother and a sister who I think got the more sports side of my father, but we're all grateful for the father we have and the mother we have.
Well, I'm sure they've done a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Okay, so now that we know your background a little bit, tell us more about the Black Swan Academy, as I understand it, is a youth program. Okay, youth program, and they serve the Black youth through civic learning and engagement. And your thing is that you want to give them tools to succeed. You don't just talk to them about this is what you should do.
Right.
I think you are different in terms that you say not only this is what you should do, but here are the tools needed to do it.
Right, and at the same time providing them with opportunities to apply those tools.
Very good.
So we look through everything through an angle of civic learning as well as civic leadership and engagement. And as an organization, we stress with our youth 3 main values and beliefs, which you see on my shirt. Pride, if you can see it, pride, purpose, and power. And with that, simply making sure that our youth, in particular Black youth, are proud about who they are and where they come from. Letting them know that they have a purpose in their community and that they have the power to create change. So providing them with opportunities to learn about their history, to build their self-confidence, to identify issues in their communities and create community service projects out of that, get other youth and their family members involved, and then also get involved in advocacy and social justice work to create that systemic change that we want to see.
And just on those points that you made right there, I honed in on what you said, purpose. You want to give the youth purpose. Because I think nowadays, well, I'm sure probably we all grew up as young people when we were growing up. We thought, well, what are we here to do? Like, what should we be doing? Like, what do I want to do? So I think it's important that young people need to have purpose, because it not only, it gives them a sense of value, and it sort of gives them direction.
Absolutely, and it connects them. One of the reasons we got started is because we found Black youth in particular feel disconnected from the institutions that serve them, from their schools, from their community. And by having this element of service learning, we're able to re-engage them, connect them to their institutions, and let them know that not just in the future, but now you can have a value to your schools, you can have an added value to your communities. And regardless of what sector you go into or what field you go into, you can still give back in some way.
Yeah, very, very true, very true. And I also picked up on what you said, service learning. I like, and I've studied, one of my studies of leadership and everything, you have transformative leadership, but you also have servant leadership. And I am a big proponent of that, because, you know, they say being a leader is someone who gets other people to do what he needs them to do, or to carry out a task.
Right.
But I think it's more important to not just get people to do things, but to be of service, not only to the people that you are around and trying to influence, but also to, you know, just that, well, let me back up. Just that whole thought of, you know, being of a servant and helping, and not just a taker.
Right.
You know, because I think sometimes people could see the bosses or the people in charge as takers and not givers. But when you're in a servant leader, you are a giver, because you're concerned about the people around you and making sure that they can be the best that they can be.
Absolutely. And then we strive to have an environment that is youth-led and youth-centered. So what that means in terms of servant leadership is that the adults in our program are not just telling the students what to do, but we're doing it along with them.
Yes.
And where the students might be coming up with the community service ideas, but then we're supporting them to make that come to fruition. So making sure everyone knows that they have a value and a unique role, whether you're youth, whether you're adult, and working together to make that difference and have that impact.
Well, I'm very impressed of, you know, what you're telling me, because as a teacher, it goes back to the different learning theories that we talk about, like constructivist, which is very student centered. And as far as teachers, we don't want to be the sage on the stage, as they say. We want to be the guide on the side. So we're there to support and help guide.
Absolutely.
Instead of just telling them what to do. And I think that makes it better for the youth, because not only are they in charge of their own learning, they can take ownership of it, but they are also constructing it in a way that's meaningful to them.
Absolutely. We had, and I would say that youth tend to be, at least the youth in our program, tend to be more creative than adults, and have a broader way of thinking, and tend to be more ambitious. So one of our community service projects last year was to go to Flint, Michigan.
Wow.
The issue they identified was clean water, the lack of clean water.
The issue, yes.
So we learned about what was going on in Flint, Michigan. The youth did some research on it. And when we asked them what they wanted to do about it, they said, we want to go to Flint, Michigan and distribute water. So as an organization, we're like, that's not what we had in mind. Let's tone it down. But with their help, we were able to find partners to donate and collect over 500 bottles of water. We spent 2.5, 3 days in Flint, Michigan. Some other youth flew for the first time, went to Flint, Michigan, did a fundraising campaign around it, and we're able to go door to door in Flint, Michigan.
Wow.
And that was all led by the youth.
That is truly amazing. And that is a good, I mean, that is just a good example of problem-based learning. You know, you identify a problem, you research it, find out all about it, and then find ways to solve it.
Right, what's the solution?
Yeah, what's the solution that they can come up. That is truly amazing.
Thank you.
Kudos,
Thank
kudos,
you.
kudos,
All the
kudos.
youth.
Yes, and that's what you want.
Yep,
And that's what
absolutely.
you want. And how did they feel when they came back? What was the feedback after?
They enjoyed it. I think they were taken back by a lot of the things that they saw, the amount of oppression that the residents in Flint were going through and are still going through today, I think struck them. They met a lot of residents who were impacted, their health was impacted by the water. There were women who had kind of looked like cancer sores on their body, all attributed to the water there, but also empower and to know that you had, for at least that day, you made a difference in someone else's life, I think meant a lot for the youth.
Yeah, I can imagine, because that type of those experiences that is, like, again, it's not just, and I'm an educator, and so I'm getting very passionate about this. You know, education should not be a passive endeavor.
Right.
It's a transactional, you know, meaning that, you know, you give and you get, and it should be active. So I'm sure that the young people being active in that made it just more meaningful, and it was able to impact them on a deeper level.
Yep, absolutely. And when we came back, and this wasn't intentional because we didn't think it was going to happen, when we came back at the time, a lot of our Sousa students received a letter saying that there was lead water in their school here in DC, and having just came back from Flint, Michigan, they were able to immediately get activated to do some social work here in DC, and met with council members, did some candidate forums to raise the issue, and it all stemmed from having that experience in Flint, Michigan, and seeing the extreme conditions there and not wanting that to be true here in DC.
Wow, well, that is truly awesome. This has been like a great segment, and it's gone by so fast. So we're going to take a break right now.
Great.
And when we come back, as you know, on this show, we always tie things into sports. So we're going to talk about Black Swan Academy and a little bit of sports angle in there.
Sounds
too.
good.
All right, thank you, and hopefully stay right here, and we'll be right back.
We have pride, we have purpose, we have power at the Black Swan Academy.
We taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver, the strike zone, the net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
And welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with Ms. Samantha P. Davis, who is the Executive Director and founder of the Black Swan Academy here in Washington, D.C. And we had a great conversation at first. We had an awesome conversation. Now, first of all, let's talk about whom you serve. I know it's the youth, particularly the African-American youth here.
Yep.
But is there any particular age group?
Yes, so we are working with 6th through 12th grade.
Okay.
And again, targeting Black youth, and looking at schools who need additional support in after-school programming or in social and emotional development with those youth.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't want to say what are your hours, but in terms of like when do the youth come to your program? They're primarily after school, they're on the weekends?
It's mixed, mostly after school and on the weekends.
Okay.
We offer workshops to schools and other organizations who serve youth throughout the day or whatever works best with their schedules. We also do community forums and the service events that's open to all community members to participate with that youth focus. And those could be in any day of any week.
So, for instance, say like if Susan Middle School wanted to do an assembly on civic leadership for their 5th and 6th graders, you would come in during the day and do that assembly
Yeah,
for them?
absolutely. Okay. So last year we actually did our Youth Civic Leadership Summit at Susan Middle School, and it was a half-a-day experience during the school day with all of their 6th, 7th, and 8th graders.
Yeah, now I've seen, read about that summit, the Youth Civic Summit.
Leadership,
Leadership Summit that you have. So tell me a little bit more about that. Is that something that happens once a year? Does it happen at a certain school, or how does it work?
It happens right now once a year. It will be happening again at Susan Middle School, and all the students who are enrolled in Black Swan Academy are able to attend that, and then we serve the students who go to that school as well. And it's a half-day experience where we bring professionals from various fields to come in and talk about how they are doing their work, but also being socially responsible and keeping that civic leadership angle.
All right. So what are any plans or big events or big things that you have in the future? Like, what are your, I guess, future goals for 2017, which will be coming up soon?
Yeah, so we're really excited. We expanded into a new school this year, so getting those youth and growing that partnership with Hart Middle School. But we are looking forward to having another Youth Civic Leadership Summit that will be towards the end of the fall. We are also looking forward to having our first retreat with all of the youth in our programs.
Ooh, wow.
And in that retreat, we're going to be listening to the youth about the issues that they want to work on for the next 3 years. And we're going to create an advocacy agenda outlining issues, social issues, potentially racial justice issues that are impacting youth here in DC, and we'll be working on solving those issues through policy, through budget areas with the council and with the mayor's office. So that's the biggest thing that we have coming up this year.
Yeah, that does sound pretty big. It reminds me of back in the day when I attended the youth leadership program here in DC. You know, the late great Marion Barry, he had his mayor's youth leadership program, and I mean, that was just the best. I mean, it really, I think, jump-started me to getting me to where I am today in terms of, you know, being an exchange student for a year and just, you know, everything that I've done since then has sort of wound its way back to there in the beginning.
And that's the same type of experience we want our youth to have, and to know that they're leaders, to give them the tools to be leaders, and then we would love to see many of them going on to not only be active in their community through service-wise and through other organizations, but to run for office, to kind of bridge that civic leadership gap that we're seeing when it comes to race and gender, and really being a part of the next generation of elected officials here in DC and nationally.
Now, are there any particular needs that your academy, the Black Swan Academy, has seen that they feel needs to be addressed for, you know, the youth in this city?
Yeah, there's a number of them. Some things that we worked on in the past include intra-community violence, particularly youth gun violence. A lot of our students have been impacted by that. Police brutality is an issue that a lot of our youth have been impacted by. Environmental injustice when it comes to lead water, that's still happening in some of our schools and facilities, as well as trying to create a more youth-friendly environment. And what that often looks like for youth is having ways to be more physically active.
Yes, really active.
And to use their energy in positive ways to promote health, healthy living, and to create ways for the community to work out their issues in healthy, productive manners.
I love when you said ways to be more physically fit and finding more, like when we were growing up, I don't know how it was in Pittsburgh because you grew up in Pittsburgh. I grew up in DC. Playground. That's where, you know, that was, I guess you could say, my training ground, my proving ground before I even got into organized sports. It was the playground. It was just, you know, that's what, I mean, that really, and then you think about it, the playground is where you learn so many skills. You know, you learn math skills because everybody got to put the foot in, count it off. You learn leadership skills, you know, picking captains, picking teams. You know, you learn how to work with other people, obviously being on teams. You also learn how to negotiate and mediate conflict, because if someone's not playing by the rules or somebody, you know, you got to work it out. There's no parents. You have to work it out on the playground. So I think children, I shouldn't say children, but young people being able to be in areas where they can go to be physically active, like playgrounds, recreation centers, parks is just very important. So is there anything that you're doing specifically or have done?
Yeah, absolutely. Our first year, actually, doing programming in Susan Middle School, the first issue the youth wanted to work on was cleaning up and potentially improving the Fort DuPont Park in Ward 7. There's a small playground there. It's kind of little beaten up, and there's a large, beautiful park there that's accessible to the community. There's a community garden there. So the question that the youth had was, how can we bring more resources to this one area so that it's accessible to more community members, in particular youth, and that they can have that healthy living, physical fitness component to their lives.
All right. Like I said, being able to be physically active and be outside, not just inside, because, you know, it's all well and good to go to the gym or to be in a gymnasium working out and stuff like that, but I think there's nothing like actually being outside when you're doing physical activity, because it's just so much different. You know, it's just better. I don't know, did you do the playground a lot when you were growing up?
I did the playground a lot. I'm also a very outdoorsy type of person. So I think DC has beautiful parks and different ways that you can be active. Where that is lacking tends to be in Southeast DC. And while they're there, it's important that we're making sure those resources are just as accessible and safe as other communities might have them. So bringing those outdoor adventures is an important part for our youth, and also for me as someone who enjoys the outdoors.
Yeah, I think that's very important, because you see the beauty of downtown DC by the Tidal Basin, where the cherry blossoms are, the different parks, that's maintained by the National Park Service, all that stuff down there, and that's cool. However, that's not where the local residents are.
Exactly.
That's not where we are. You see people running down by the monument, but that's not where the youth are. Right. They're in their neighborhoods, and those neighborhoods need to be safe, and they need to have activities and venues where they can safely be outside and play and be active.
Yep.
I mean, it's so important. It's so important. So, well, we have talked about a lot.
Yes.
Now, real quickly, how can people get a hold of you? Where can people,
sure. We're all over social media. Our website is blackswanacademy.org. Facebook, Black Swan Academy. Instagram, Black Swan Academy. Black Swan Acad on Twitter. And my personal email address is sdavis@blackswanacademy.org. So any questions, if you're looking to get involved, there's ways to do that, and the website will navigate you to those proper channels.
Okay, so however you want to get involved, whether through time, money, or whatever, go to the website and they can check it out.
Yes, looking for volunteers. Still need a few mentors at some of our programs, and there's a number of community outreach events that we do throughout the year, so it's always good just to stay informed and keep in touch with us.
Okay, great. I mean, you definitely offering, not only do you offer a lot to the young people, but you kind of offer a lot to the volunteers too, in ways they can be, and that's always good.
Absolutely.
Choices are good.
Absolutely.
Choices are good. All right, so as we wrap up, is there any, I know, time flies, but is there any important point, like I always say to my kids when I teach them, if there's one thing you learn from all of this, I want it to, that'll be good, or I want it to be this. What is the one thing that you want people to know about the Black Swan Academy?
About the Black Swan Academy is that we are committed to creating this pipeline of Black youth civic leadership. In whatever way we possibly can. We believe that Black youth are powerful. We believe that they should be in charge of the change that we want to see in the community. And as adults or as youth who don't feel confident enough to do that, just try to find any angle possible to go ahead and pour into the youth so that they know and are able to actually live in that power that they have.
Because as they say, the youth are our future.
They are, and they're our present.
Yes, they are. They are our present and our future. Well, that is going to end our interview today with Ms. Samantha P. Davis, Executive Director and Founder of the Black Swan Academy. And we are going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we'll be talking about, or we'll be at What is Veronica Thinking? And I have some pretty interesting thoughts today, so please stay with us, and we'll be right back.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you? You know you do. That's why we're here. We're free and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Picking a college, man. You and us. We go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos. Go to GetSchooled.com.
Welcome back, and now this is the time for What is Veronica Thinking? Today I am thinking about youth empowerment. Now, when I was growing up, we tend to call it youth development. And youth development is different, I feel, from youth empowerment, because when you talk about development, it's pretty much what the person who is in charge wants for that person. You know, they're developing the person in what they feel they should do and how they should be. Whereas with youth empowerment, it is more of, obviously, you help develop that foundation and get them strong in the areas that they need to be strong in. But then you step aside and let that person become who they feel they should be, or, you know, they actualize their dreams, their goals. They be all that can be. But you're the person who is in charge. Instead of just being that hands-on developer, you are just there to support them and let them know that, hey, you can do this. I'm here for you if you need my help, but this is ultimately on you. And that is a good thing, because it allows the person receiving this instruction to take ownership of the learning that they're doing and take ownership of their vision of who they want to be, which is very important, because if the person is only doing what they feel somebody else wants them to do, they're never going to feel that, not say never, but they may not feel that this is really me, or that it may not mean that much to them. So that's why I am more about youth empowerment than about the, I guess you would say, old school term of youth development. Samantha, what do you think about that?
I agree. I think as an organization, we try to develop and give that guidance, but more so give the tools that the youth need to be that leader themselves and to actualize that on their own. We're youth empowerment, youth organizing, even when we're bringing youth together to identify the problems that they experience, and as well as to identify the solutions that they think will best serve them. It creates that ownership. It will allow them to be more connected to the program, yes, to their community, to the schools, to whatever work it is that they're doing. So I just think ultimately the end result is much stronger when things are done through a youth-centered way, and if possible in a youth-led environment.
Yeah, and I like the way you put up tools again, because with youth empowerment or any type of empowerment, again, it's not just the person being molded into the form that they need to be. It is the person being given those tools to do what needs to be done. And that's what's important, having the tools. So that is what Veronica is thinking today. And we've heard what Miss Samantha is thinking today too as well. Thank you all for joining us here for the Veronica Harris Show, and we look forward to seeing you next time.